What's going on, guys? Neroku here, and for our video today, we're going to be testing the strongest versus the weakest dinos in Ark. So we're going to be going over the land, the sky, and I don't know if it would be called the sky. What would it be, like the flyers? Yeah, sure. The land dinos, the flyers, and the ocean dinos. So we're going to be testing out all three of them, and we're going to be seeing the differences between the weakest and the strongest ones. So I today have compiled all the weakest and strongest, and let's get right into it. So obviously the overall stats are pretty obvious, like one's going to be much better than the other, but those are the stats for the Giga. Obviously that's pretty overpowered, but I was kind of confused when it says 20 melee damage for a level 1 Giga. Makes no sense. Then on the base level Dodo, also level 1, it has like what? Look at the melee damage on that thing. Makes no sense. But then going over to the Wyvern, you can see all the stats on that. Again, I haven't leveled any of these up. They're all just level 1 spawned in. Very simple, easiest stats, and you know, you can kind of go off of that since it's so simple, level 1. Now we're going to be moving on to actual damage to structures. So we're going to be seeing how much damage each of these things can do to thatch, wood, and stone. So we're going to be starting off with the land dinos, then going on to the sky, or I keep saying sky, how about just flyers? Yeah. Then we're going to go on to the flyers, then we're going to go into the aqua, or water, whatever, water dinos, I guess. So testing out the land here. If you put a dodo next to a thatch wall, it doesn't do anything. But you pick that up and you get the Giga over there and you chomp down 35 damage for a level 1. What? Boys, that's a level 1. I spawned it in 35 damage. No idea why it's doing so, like literally nothing. But I guess if you don't level up this Giga and it's a level 1 base stat, that's the base stat for the Giga. So obviously it does a little bit on the stone just because it can destroy stone, but only 5 damage on stone. Like, that's absolute booty. And then 35 on wood and 35 on thatch. So that's just absolute booty. I don't know if my game was glitched when I was recording this, but that's pretty much how strong the Giga is. And now we're gonna, so obviously that thing's better than the Dodo. Now we're just gonna be testing out the Dimorphodon. So this is the Dimorphodon, the weakest dino in the game as a flyer, of course. So let's see how much damage it does to thatch. And it didn't do anything. Okay, now let's move on to the Wyvern itself. So I already tested the Dimorphodon and it didn't do any damage against thatch, even when I whistled aggressive on the thatch thing. But now moving on, we're gonna try out the Wyvern. 161 damage. The Giga did 33. Like, what the frick? So apparently the base stat of a Wyvern does way more damage than the base stat of a Giga against the structure. So there you go again, 35 damage. It's insane versus 161. So now we're gonna go on to the wood. Let's see how much damage it does here. 88. Like, what the frick is this? Boys, it just absolutely demolishes. But then when you go over to the stone, it's just sad. It can't destroy the stone. So yeah, now moving on, we're going to be comparing water dinos and the structure damage on that. So this is the strongest dino, the Mosasaur, versus the weakest dino, the dolphin, or the Ichthyornis, or whatever you guys want to call it. So the Ichthyornis does 60 damage to thatch, and to wood it does 33. And then a whopping nothing to the stone. So it looks like this thing is pretty weak. Now let's just test it again. Oh my god, the Mosasaur is destroying this. 340 damage as a level 1 Mosa. Then you go over to the wood, 185. And unfortunately, it doesn't do any damage to the stone. So there's the difference between the freaking strongest and the weakest dinos for structures. Alright guys, so we already tested out the structure damage and how much each of these dinos do against structures. Now we're testing them out against the tames themselves. So this is a creature, it's a Paracer, it's a level 150 I believe, but that doesn't matter, it's just on passive, and we're just going to see how much damage these creatures can actually do. So starting off with the weakest flyer here, the Dimorphodon, we're going to put that on attack target, see how much damage. So it looks like about 40 damage, that's not that bad for that little thing, a level 1 base stat. So we're going to whistle passive on that thing, and now we're going to move on to the Wyvern, the freaking beast itself. So this is the strongest flyer, 84 damage. a hit, and now with this special ability, it does 20. It's just insane. You can't even count those numbers. Like, look at them. They're just rapid. So obviously the poison wyvern and the fire wyvern would be much different, but the lightning wyvern is the strongest in my opinion. And then there, as you can see, the Giga does 80 damage, and then I was trying to test the Dodo, but it didn't really work out. So I kind of just spawned in another Dodo and whistled attack target because the Dodo can't hit the Paracer. But here, as you can see, it's hitting the Dodo and it's doing 10 damage. So the Giga does 80 damage and the Dodo does 10. So that's 8 times more damage on the land dinos. So now moving on to the ocean dinos. It looks like here 33 damage for the dolphin. I know that's not the actual name, but I just like calling it the dolphin because that's so much easier. And now testing out the Mosasaur, the strongest dino, ocean dino in the game, 184. Alright, now guys, we're going to test out the speed. So I have a timer here, and we're going to test out the Giga versus the Dodo, the Wyvern versus the Dimorphodon. So first we're going to start out with the land dinos, see how fast they really are, and then we're going to move on to the flyers, then the ocean dinos. So obviously you guys already know what's going to happen. Hopefully you know what's going to happen. But I just really wanted to compare the strongest versus the weakest one and see how really different they are. So now, as you can see, the Giga flies by that in about 6.1 seconds, as the Dodo is just still trotting along there, taking its time. It's honestly, it's just so sad. Like, what? Oh gosh, that Giga just beat this thing out by the Giga beat this thing out by like 5 times as much. But as the Dodo finally reaches the finish line in 3, 2, 1, boom. So it looks like about 37.2 seconds. That is over a 30 second difference. Like, that's freaking insane, guys. So now we're gonna move on to the next one here, which is the flyers themselves. So look here, we got the Wyvern and the Dimorphodon. At first, the Dimorphodon, it triggers much earlier, but still the Wyvern beats it out at like under 5 seconds. And so that, the Dimorphodon was about at 11 seconds, the Wyvern was at about 5 seconds, and the Wyvern just absolutely demolished it. So as you guys can see, the difference between the strongest and the weakest animals in the game isn't like a massive difference, but it is still pretty big. But now moving on to the amphibians here, or the ocean dinos, you could call them. So now we're going to be testing out the dolphin first. There's like a little pole at the end here, and we're going to see how long it actually takes. So for the dolphin, it's actually fairly fast. Like, this is one of the fastest dinos in the water, in my opinion. So now going over here, it looks like about 11 seconds for the dolphin, and now, or the weakest dino in the water. And now we're going to be testing out the strongest dino in the water, and this thing took a whopping 11 seconds. So it looks like the strongest and weakest dinos in the water take about the same exact time, guys. So that's actually pretty shocking. So it looks like there isn't that much of a difference between the water dinos, only that obviously the bigger one has much more health and it's much stronger. I think it was like 5-6 times stronger than the dolphin itself. So that's just comparing the strongest to the weakest amphibian. So that is pretty much it, guys. I went over the land dinos, the ocean dinos, and the flyers, all of the strongest ones versus the weakest ones. And as you guys saw, the strongest ones just absolutely beat them out. It was pretty obvious, but still, the Giga is just a freaking beast. And I was surprised when the Wyvern actually did more damage than the Giga itself. Like, that was pretty weird. I mean, I don't know why that happened. If you guys know why, just comment it down below. But obviously, the stronger versions just completely demolished the weaker versions, so it wasn't even really a challenge for the Giga against the Dodo. Like, that was just sad. And also the Wyvern versus the Dimorphodon. Also, what I noticed was the Dimorphodon actually resembles the Wyvern. That's a little weird. If you look at that right now, you can see the way it puts its wings down. It's like it's a little mini Wyvern, which I thought was pretty cute. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video today. If you did like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I post bangers every other day. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.